West Virginia is shelling out the cash to get the state's very best basketball player. That's per on three. We got to talk about this.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, where we have got a major situation brewing as the state's best player, top 40 player in the entire country, bordering on 5 stars, has a big decision to make tomorrow, and it's between 5 teams: West Virginia, Kentucky, Duke, Pitt, and Virginia Tech. So what's going on here? Well, West Virginia obviously got a commitment from Brayden Hawthorne last year in November with Darren DeVries and company. After he took the Indiana job, obviously this kid decided to go somewhere else. I have since then kind of put on blinders to the situation because I thought, well, that's it. Usually when a kid decommits, he doesn't come back. It's just the way things are. It's no hard feelings. I understand the coaching staff changed. Coach Frazier's not here anymore, who was one of the main recruiters on him. And to be honest, this offer should have went out way before then, but we've had so much coaching changeover that there hasn't been a chance for this to happen. And this could be one of the big casualties of our coaching situation and how it's been. That said, On3 is reporting that West Virginia has come in, I don't want to say late here, but as things have escalated with this situation, West Virginia's come in late to this and really upped the NIL offer of this game, and reporting that West Virginia has the highest offer of all the teams. Now, Duke doesn't have to pay that because they can get anybody. They probably have a set rotation next year. Same thing with Kentucky. Pitt, Virginia Tech, and West Virginia would probably be in the same ballpark from a playing time perspective. I think Pitt most people think is the fastest way for him to play right now due to their roster. And Jay Kuntz is there. So you don't ever want to count Jay Kuntz out. If we had Jay Kuntz, this would probably be a done deal, in my opinion. That's just how I feel personally. And then obviously Coach Frazier is over at Virginia Tech. But the fact that West Virginia has made this major NIL plunge, and we don't know exactly what the number is on this, but I got a quote from somebody that talks to somebody close to the situation. What was the quote again? Let me make sure I get it right. I'm sorry. I tried to remember it from memory, but the quote is an awful lot. So, I think this is an interesting situation because this would be, to me, a much bigger deal than Oscar Tshiebwe. This is a generational type player. I love this player. I've evaluated him on multiple different occasions. So I'm going to do it again. And I want to put into some context here. Like, I haven't been following along as closely because honestly, I just feel like I had felt like West Virginia was out of this, right? And it seems like maybe they're back in this. So I don't know. But anyways, let's get to this breakdown. I want to say this too. This kid has a lot of room to grow still. And that's the scary thing about him. 6'9", 175 to 190 pounds, probably on bordering towards closer to 190 now. He's got a 7'3" wingspan. He plays at Huntington Prep, but he's from Beckley, guys. He played at Woodrow Wilson. He is truly, this isn't like, you guys remember when Andrew Wiggins played at Huntington Prep and everybody thought that he was like a West Virginia player, a West Virginia kid? No, he was Canadian, right? This is not that situation. This is an in-state player, born and raised in West Virginia. Actually, there's an article I read yesterday where the quote was this, whenever this first situation aligned with DeVries and company with Hawthorne. He said it was great. There was great energy from everybody. The staff told me they want me. And then he said, I feel like nothing is better than to represent your home state. That's how he felt as a year ago. Now, that's what's going to give us the best chance, along with this excess in money that we're offering. That's probably, a little bit more than what the other guys are offering as of now. Maybe that could change. It always can change. If people want somebody bad enough, there are guys. Duke can probably outbid us, right? If they want. So we know about the decommitment, but what does he do well? He's a long athletic wing with positional size, capable of playing the 1 through the 4 guys. He could really be a shooting guard in college, in my opinion. If he puts on enough weight, he can definitely be a stretch 4. But like I said, probably falls into that small forward category. Think like Larry Bird, like that kind of positional guy where could be a rebounding guy if you need him to be. He's a guy that can stretch out to the 3 and snatch those down. He's also, with that 7'3" wingspan, is capable of Euro stepping into the lane and dunking on your head if that's what you need. He's got really good ball handling skills, shows true wing skills, and this is a situation where, if you'll remember Anthony Davis, the 7-foot-tall Lakers basketball, now the Mavericks basketball player, he grew like 8 or 9 inches over the course of a year, right? And so he was a point guard and had point guard skills, but he was 7 feet tall. I think it's similar here. Brayden hasn't always been 6'9", and he played wing a lot of his life, so those ball handling skills are better than a lot of guys you'll see 6'8", 6'9". He's got an incredible shooting touch. I liken him to Kevin Durant in some ways with the length, because he's got that. Kevin Durant's got a 7-foot wingspan. And that's kind of what I always talked about Durant was, even though he got way up on his jump shot, he didn't have to because his arm length is so long. So that's a key factor, obviously, for Hodge, because he's been recruiting guys that shoot it 38 to 40%, right? He's a bucket, really. I mean, that's just like as a term the kids like to use, right? And he's shown the ability to score efficiently. And like, you want to talk about high-profile settings? Go check out what he did at the Hoops Giving event, where he absolutely went off. He is a late bloomer in this cycle, but man, is he fluid in his movements? He is gaining more and more explosiveness as he gets used to his body, because it's still kind of new for him. If you look at his initial recruitment, it was like Ohio, Pepperdine, Old Dominion, Florida Gulf Coast. Like, really nobody was looking into him. Finally, West Virginia comes in with an offer, and then he really started to grow last year. And that's why Coach DeVries was talking about that upside. Well, obviously, after DeVries left for Indiana, we know what happens then. So what I want to do here, is, oh, by the way, some people have compared him to like Jasper Johnson. So, that's an interesting comparison, I would say. He earned MVP honors at the Dr. Pepper Classic is another thing I have written down here. So, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Duke, Kentucky are the schools. And, of course, we're going up against some blue bloods here. But at the end of the day, home state pride makes a big difference. The biggest NIL deal here makes a big difference. So, I'm telling you guys, we got a shot here, but I'm not going to crystal ball him to West Virginia. I think it's truly wide open. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. I'm going to show you some tape on Brayden Hawthorne and just why I'm so high on him. I truly believe that if he comes to West Virginia, he could develop into one of the best players in our school's history, and I'll show you why next. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Wayfair, guys, and I'm sorry, Monarch Money. Did you know that when you check your bank account, sometimes there's no money in it? Well, even though I am 40 now, that still happens to me even. And between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. Well, now that's where Monarch Money does come in. They're your personal CFO, giving you full visibility over your finances. And it's not just a budgeting app. Like, we've all seen those. They pretend to help you budget your money. Well, not with Monarch, because that's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one easy, convenient place. And look, it helps you stop managing your money, micromanaging even, and start building your wealth. Easy collaboration is something I enjoy with Monarch Money, and you can too, because if you've got a partner, hey, look, it's easier and smoother than ever to manage money with your partner. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. And we all need a little bit of stress gone from our life with the way the world is today. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your very first year. And it's segment 2. Let's crack this do. And let me just show you. It is a Baja Blast do, because if Brayden Hawthorne commits to West Virginia, Baja Blast my ass into the sun. That's just exactly what's going to happen here. That's where it's at right there. Ice cold, Baja Blast to Baja Blast my ass into the sun. So, and that would have to take a heck of a blast too, because I'm like 350, not really 350, like 320. Still a big guy. Overweight guy. All right, so let's get to some film here, and I want to tell you, prepare to be very impressed if you've never watched Brayden Hawthorne play, because he's already elite. I think he would make talking about Jonathan Powell last year, he's got a chance to make that look like you would point and laugh at what Jonathan Powell did last year compared to the type of impact that this kid could make this year, in my opinion. It wouldn't be right away, but I do think it would happen eventually. So let's check out Brayden Hawthorne in action. You'll know him when you see him. There he is. He's, like I said, almost 6'10", 7-foot wingspan. And here's where that wingspan comes into play. Most athletes aren't going to be able to get this ball in the passing lane. I mean, it's a lazy pass, don't get me wrong, but that wingspan obviously helping him in this situation, tip the ball out to himself. And then how about a little drop?
So looking for a shot, passes in.
Let me pause that. So in transition, absolutely he's a bucket, and he makes it look easy. How about down low? Obviously, he can score down low a little bit. If you want to talk about shooting a 3-ball at 6'9", he can do that as well. But there's a nice little pump fake like that. And then he puts some muscle on. That's really, but this is his game, really, the 3-ball at 6'9". Like, this is what makes him like special, and at the college level, he's going to put on some weight, no doubt. But look at those handles and look at the finishing ability for a 6'9" player. There's so much upside, it's just ridiculous. Do you see the handles? I need to show you the handles again. Look at these handles for a 6'9" player. And he's got a crafty game, right? Like I said, he's still developing some explosiveness as he grows into that body. There's a nice pass from underneath. But, I mean, he's got what you need, and he makes beautiful passes. He does a lot of things really, really well. He's great in transition. He plays defense, and he's only going to get better, So I think this is one of those situations where it's bar none would be one of these signings that we would remember forever at West Virginia and possibly beyond. There's a catch-up block. Like to see those two. He had a lot of blocks while at Huntington Prep as well. It's something he excels at with that long wingspan. So really, really enjoy Brayden Hawthorne and what he brings to the table for West Virginia, or any team for that matter. But I think, and he shows the ability to rebound as well, as you can see with those long arms. They come into play in so many different ways. On the roll, this is where he's the most dangerous, obviously, on the roll. And just a beautiful shot, guys. I mean, it's truly, I think it's the best part of his game is just his jump shot. Like, look at this beautiful shot. First of all, look at the balance. He's got, and look, he's sleight of frame, So, obviously, you get him into a college weight room, and he can start to look different in just the summer, much less a year. But guys like this aren't weak. A lot of times guys like this are wiry strong. Anybody ever met a wiry strong person? Somebody that's skinny, but for some reason they're strong. Like I've met a few guys like that, and I think Hawthorne looks like that when I watch him on film. But you can see, look at the perfect L shape. Look at look at where this is great form, right? And great follow through as well. And that beautifully relaxed wrist as he lets it go. And you almost never, I'm talking about never, see a shot of his hit the rim. Like he really does just absolutely swish balls. And as you can see, his IQ, I think, is something that doesn't get talked about enough, and something that absolutely is going to benefit him at this level. And as you can see, a very willing defender. So, I think this is going to be a situation, man, where West Virginia needs this pickup to happen for this roster of this year. I don't know if it's going to happen, but West Virginia needs it to happen, guys. And there's not a bigger Hawthorne fan out there than me. And let's share screen one more time so I can show you this other thing that he said yesterday, which I found to be kind of funny. So, he's been sharing things. And by the way, his announcement will be at May 20th, which is tomorrow at 7:00 p.m. It'll be live on 247 Sports, which they do all the time. I think it'll be on their YouTube channel, but I haven't been able to confirm that just yet. But he posted this yesterday. I haven't told a soul. Please stop making assumptions. Not even my parents. He said this yesterday. I'm going to give that a repost. Yeah, so, I don't know if that's actually true. I mean, it'd be hard to keep that from your parents, but I'm not going to call him a liar either. I think it's interesting. So, the chances, somebody in the comments asking about the chances. I think here's what I know. He's wanted to play for West Virginia his whole life. West Virginia, according to On3, now this could come out to be false later, but this is from either Kentucky or Pitt On3 site. Somebody showed me that claims that West Virginia has gone the highest as far as NIL is concerned. Now, that really does depend too. Like, is it 50,000 higher? Like, is it 5,000 higher? I don't know. All that matters because, like, the just what you get at playing at Duke, or Kentucky is probably worth more than $50,000. You know what I mean? So from an exposure standpoint and there's a lot of benefits to it, like as far as if you're good at Kentucky or Duke, you're going to get all these national deals and things like that you may not get at West Virginia. As you see Javon Small last year, he basically did all you could do and was snubbed, right? So, I think the thing about Hawthorne, though, is West Virginia is, at least for now, number one in the money situation, and then they're number one in his heart. That doesn't mean he'll go to West Virginia, and I think it's at least I'll give the field 60 and West Virginia 40 at this point in time. I'm still not 100% sold that he's going to come to West Virginia. Statistically, when kids decommit from schools, a lot of times they don't go back. And this staff is new. Coach Chester Frazier is not on the staff. Jay Kuntz is at Pitt recruiting him. Like, there's a lot of scary things against West Virginia. And I'm told Pitt has a real shot here. Now, when I really get down to it and think about it, if he really loves West Virginia, do I think he'll go to Pitt? No, I don't. Could he go to Virginia Tech even? Maybe. But I think it's hard to predict because this situation's been so unpredictable. So I really like the kid. I really hope he comes to West Virginia. I think he has a chance to be one of the great ones at West Virginia, especially if he sticks around 2 years or more. I've said this on multiple occasions. Year one's going to be an adjustment for him because of his frame and how he plays, right? He is a great ball handler, but doesn't have elite explosiveness. He would probably admit that. But what he does have is very good IQ. He's got very good handles. He's got an elite jump shot. He's got elite arm length. And just length overall. And so a lot of those things are going to help him succeed in year one, but he needs to add some weight and muscle to the frame. So I think year two is when you would see a kid like that break out to a I think he would be like a Trey Mitchell, but much more refined version, right? Trey Mitchell was a good player, 6'8", 6'9", that could shoot it. This is take that up a level. That's what I think he would be, or if not more. So, this would be fun to see what happens and everything, especially at West Virginia. But I think that we have to maintain our expectations here, and I still predict the field, but because there's it'd be different if it was just Virginia Tech and Pitt against us, but it's UK and Duke, and those two teams can, his path to playing time, I'm told, is a big deal here. By the way, probably haven't mentioned that enough. I haven't mentioned it at all. The playing time portion of this apparently is a big deal. A lot of people say so. I don't know behind an Eagle staff, behind a Lorient, I don't know how much path to playing time there is. Certainly, he would be the first guy off the bench. I think, if you bring him in, you've got to at least promise him that, and then possibly he earns a starting role during the season, or maybe he does right away from practice. But I don't know if it's something they're going to guarantee him right off the rip. I would, to get him to West Virginia, I think it's worth offering him a spot, even if and then if it doesn't work out, you switch it mid-season and put him on the bench, maybe bring him off six man. But I think to get a player like that, you have to kind of offer a little bit more. And maybe some coaches aren't willing to do that. And I understand that side of it. Absolutely. But I'm just going to say, if it were me in that situation, and maybe this is why I'm not a coach, I would probably reach a little further for a kid like this. He's ranked 33rd in the country. If he goes to Kentucky or Duke, he'll gain a 5th star. He's already at 93. Like, he needs 2 more points. So, he's basically a 5-star. He's what we call an elevated 4-star as it is. So I think, if he goes to Duke or UK, he'll probably gain that star. That's just how it works. But even if he doesn't, we just don't get the chance of players like this very often. And when they're in your home state, normally you've got a good shot to lock them up if they care about the state. A lot of kids want to get out of the state, but in this situation, I think we have a player that loves the state of West Virginia, grew up watching the Mountaineers like Rodney Gallagher. And maybe that, if I'm Coach Hodge, maybe that's who I call, Rodney Gallagher. Hey, can you talk to this kid? Maybe you put Rodney Gallagher on the team and say, hey, we got 15 spots. Rodney, if you want to play this year, maybe he wants to play now. Maybe he's focused on football still. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can go, but I think that personally, I think Hawthorne would come in and earn a lot of playing time right away, Tosh. So if he comes in, I think it would be tough, but I do think he would eventually earn a lot of playing time. I don't know if he would start right away. I think he's got the talent to, but it would be difficult based on who we recruited. Obviously, with Eagle Staff and Lorient and guys like that have, they got 1 year left, a lot of them, and they've got a lot riding on this last year. So as a coach, you kind of have to do right by them too. And if you have to overpromise, you better overdeliver, because you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. That's how a kid ends up in the portal in 1 year. And then Duke or Kentucky gets your most developed kid. Like you got a kid. If you get a kid like Hawthorne, you have to make certain somehow that you keep him for at least 2 years, or else you don't get the payoff. That first year is going to be a Jonathan Powell kind of bumpy ride. There's going to be some games where he airballs a 3 or 2 and maybe doesn't even make a 3. Maybe not. Like, maybe he'll turn into Cooper Flagg, but you have to expect that out of a freshman, true freshman especially. But the thing is that year 2, like, Jonathan Powell's probably going to be really good for somebody this year. As long as he develops his driving game a little more, which I think he had more of in his game than the coaches let him do. Let's go to break really quick. We'll come right back. We'll put a bow on this topic, and then ESPN ranked the quarterback rooms. I want to get to that too, because I don't know. We'll talk about it next. I'm not a fan of how they did this. We'll talk about it next. All right, and we're back here on Locked On West Virginia. So to put a bow on the Brayden Hawthorne situation here, I was glad to see that West Virginia up their NIL offer and made it the most. You know, I would like to have confirmed it independently myself, but at sometimes you just have to go up other people's reporting, and that's on 3. So we'll see. But I still think, like I said earlier, I still think the field has the shot here to get him. But West Virginia is in a good spot here too. 40%, I think most people would take going into tomorrow. So I'll probably do a live watch along or something, or a live reaction right away, win, lose, or draw on this, to talk about the fallout or explosion of happiness, whichever one it is, because the fallout, depending on where he goes, is going to be kind of big, especially if it's Pitt, even Virginia Tech. I think most of us can stomach UK or even Virginia or UK or Duke, even though those would suck really bad. It's like, but man, to go to our arch rivals, literally number 1 and number 2 on the list, that's tough. So we'll keep an eye on this guy. He does report tomorrow. I think let me make sure again. It's tomorrow at 7:00 on 247. So that's it. Robert, brother, I mean, I'm going to repeat myself because I'm looking up here, and when I started, there was 14 people watching, and now there's over 600 people. So sometimes I repeat myself to catch people up as it tells me other people are filing into the room. Thanks for the advice, though. I'm done with this one, guys. I think we'll move on to the quarterback situation, but tomorrow we'll see what happens with Hawthorne, and I'll report on it. Good luck to Brayden either way, but hope he's a Mountaineer. ESPN, our best friends over at ESPN, they treat us so well over there, guys. Released a quarterback ranking, all 136 FBS quarterback situations. So we're talking about the entire room here. And surely a lot of research, different valuations. Every player in the room was looked at, surely, right? I'm sure they know about Max Brown. I'm sure they know about Max Anderson. I'm sure surely they know about Scotty Fox, right? Let's get to it. So to put the cherry on the top, who did they compare our quarterback room to? We got compared to 2 other teams. Room for improvement, tier 11. Tier 11. There was 10 before this. Let me just tell you the 10 before it. So tier 1 is so hot right now, which is Miami, Florida, and Texas, which is probably fair. Pretty damn good is tier 2. Darn good, isn't it? Tier 3 is buckle up. Tier 4, the young pups. Tier 5, the waiting is the hardest part. Tier 6, second time's a charm. Tier 7, consistently consistent. Tier 8, fresh starts. Tier 8B, fresh starts untested edition. Tier 9, welcome to the big leagues, Caden Salter. Tier 10, one more try, which is like Noah Fafita, Blake Shapen, Chiron Drones over at Virginia Tech, or Garrett Rangel. In tier 11, room for improvement. They've got us compared to Pitt. They've got us compared to Pitt. I can't get away from Pitt. Can't get away from Virginia Tech or Pitt. Eli Holstein, David Lynch, and Cole Gonzalez compared to Nico Marchiol, Jalen Henderson, and Max Brown. Holstein, Marchiol, and Murphy. Oh, and Oregon State's Malik Murphy. All solid recruits, have shown flashes of brilliance, but have left fans wanting for more. But if they can build off the foundation from 2024 and blossom this season, there's a chance they could become genuine stars. Quarterback comparison, quarterback A, 7.1 yards per pass, 15 touchdowns, 7 turnovers. Quarterback B, 91.4 QBR, 10.8 yards per pass, 5 touchdowns, 1 turnover. Two completely different players, right? Well, Eli Holstein is the first 3 quarters of last season compared to his fourth quarter production, and we know about that. Versus top 40 defense, 31.6 QBR for Eli Holstein. You're going to face a defense next year, buddy. Let's go. Let's go. Holstein versus everybody else, 55.6 QBR, 8.45 yards per attempt, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. So he was very good against bad defenses. What about Nico? 10 games versus since 2022, in which he's taken at least 10 snaps. His line in those games, 58% completions, 9 touchdowns, 5 turnovers, only 6.61 yards per pass. Got to get so much better there. The only other Power 4 quarterback with more games than with 3 passing touchdowns and this is Malik Murphy. Okay, so that's all he's got on Markiel. That's it. Nothing on Jalen Henderson, nothing on Max Brown, nothing on Scotty Fox, and even other players that we have that we could talk about. But I want to focus on those 4 because I can understand not even mentioning Max Brown because, he 48% completion percentage last year, bunch of turnovers, but he's got talent. Jalen Henderson, how does he not mentioned here? Come on, man. His stats are as comparable to Nico's as anybody, and he's got 10 percentage points better on the completion percentage, fewer turnovers. He should at least be mentioned here. I mean, it just feels like, I don't know. And he's a Texas A&M transfer. So it is what it is there, man. I feel like we continuously get overlooked. And then, like I told you guys the other day, and for those of you that are new around here or maybe didn't see the other day, I was told by a player that went and visited before they committed. And this is one, I'll even give you a hint. This is one of our, no, I better not do it. I wanted to. I better not do it because it's just too small of a sample. Like you guys would guess very closely who it was if I said. He said that they were just absolutely blown away by Scotty Fox, and the coaches were very confident that they got a star on their hands, and that next year look out for Scotty Fox, maybe even this year if nobody wants to perform right, that he is absolutely going to be an absolute stud. So, this is what he was hearing everybody talk about when he went on his visit. It wasn't about Nico. It wasn't about Jalen. It was about Scotty Fox, and because I asked him, because I ask everybody off camera, or off interview, because I interview a lot of players on the phone, I'll, send them a week out. I'll say, hey, can you schedule a day with me to talk for 30 minutes? And I've talked to almost every player not almost every player, but probably a third anyways. Sometimes I exaggerate. I didn't mean to do that, but at least a third, right? And, I always ask about the quarterbacks because that's the most thing we need to have for success. So, I get a lot of different answers, and that's why I did that video the other day where it was kind of split between Nico and Jalen. A lot of guys like Jalen during spring, a lot of guys like Nico during the spring, but man, did a lot of people have a lot to say about Scotty Fox as well. And I just think that, I wouldn't expect ESPN to necessarily know that. I just like busting their balls on it because Scotty Fox is a player in this race whether people know it or not now. And I don't know if it'll be this year for sure, but next year definitely will be. And I'm looking to see, the improvement of the starters, which are Jalen and Nico, because it better be big because we need 58% for Nico. That's where his career completion percentage is. That's who he is right now. And I think a lot of people are overlooking that, because kind of based on a few factors, like it was Neil Brown's offense. We were more of a running style. We ran very similar plays with Nico as a passer. I don't think his opportunities, in certain passing formations, were great. It was usually slants over the middle for Nico, right? That was all that Neil gave him. that I could see. Now, maybe there's a couple of plays out there where he did other things, but it was either, you either had a check down or he had something over the middle to either Cole Taylor or Jaden Bray or whoever. And I just, so the opportunities aren't great, but 58% is still really, really bad. Like, it's so bad that it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad again. You got to come up 10% at least. I mean, you get to 65, you can deal with it, but you got to get to, you prefer him to be around 68 or 70. So he's got to come up. Jalen's already there over his career, 68. So, on film anyway, he's a more accurate passer at this point. And then you decide, who do you want as a runner between the two? Jalen's more elusive, in my opinion, but not as powerful and has an injury history. Nico, much more powerful and can run away from people once he gets in the open field. So it's really all about, has Nico improved and can he play in this system, which is way different than what he was in Neil's system. It could be the perfect system for him, for Nico. It absolutely could, and I hope it is. I definitely ain't rooting against it. I just like to call it like I see it with the two. And I think that Jalen has a ton of upside that nobody wants to acknowledge because Nico's been so loyal. And that's not fair to Jalen either. So that's my opinion on it. And, of course, I got to meet and interview him, and that does shade me a little bit. But trust and believe me when I say, if Nico wins his job and is good at it, I'll get on here and praise Jesus every week over it. Like, I don't care. Like, I want Jalen to do well, but my career's not tied to it. Like, I've publicly supported him because I believe in him, but that doesn't mean Nico can't do the job. So, because I kind of get a lot of flack for people say that I hate on Nico, but I don't. I just really like Jalen, and I think he doesn't, people are giving this to Nico based on his loyalty and that upside that he has, because he does have it. And I think Jalen is right there, man. But yeah, so our quarterback room wasn't rated very high, and I understand why. They haven't proven much. But to be in the same room with Holstein is kind of odd for me, because I just, truthfully, if you want my honest opinion, guys, we all hate Pitt, but I think Eli Holstein has a chance to be, if he puts it all together, he's got a chance to be one of the best players in the country, right? So, I mean, he's a good player at quarterback. And, I mean, we saw what he did to us last year in the fourth quarter. I hated every second of it. But he was clutching a lot of games last year, and I think they overused his genius in some of those games because, he really made them a lot better than they actually were. That's for sure. Whenever he went out, they were so bad, it was ridiculous. But yeah, I'm interested to see what our quarterbacks do, and I believe in them all. We'll see what happens with them, but this is going to be fun either way to keep track of, because I think it's going to be, the offense will be real fun to watch with any of these guys in it, whether that's Nico, whether that's Jalen, whether that's Max even to an extent, or even Scotty Fox. So our quarterback room, I think, will fare better than the 11th tier for sure. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I got, guys. Hope you liked the video. Hit that like button. Definitely share the video out if you get a chance to. And let me know down below, guys. What would you do? Would you freak out if Brayden Hawthorne commits to West Virginia? You think there's no shot, even though On3 is reporting that West Virginia's come in with this offer or has offered the most now? Do you think our quarterbacks are better than 11th tier? I don't know. It'll be fun to watch out and keep track of, but certainly a lot to keep track of, right? So how many things can I say keep track of? Well, I've already said it 3 or 4 times, it seems like. Somebody just told me. So, sometimes when I'm stalling, trying to figure out how to get to the ending of the show, because it's not exactly scripted for me, I just get there. Sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's not. But thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, y'all. If you do me a big favor, the portal, guys, over on Locked On, the Portal Show, man, make that your second listen, because Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. And look, you can be the most informed fan on rapid changes in the college football landscape. Find the portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Do it now. Do it today. and I'll see you on the next one, guys. I'll be here for Brayden Hawthorne tomorrow. If there's any news later today, I'll break it, or I'll get on here and talk about it. And obviously we'll be looking for any kind of transfer portal news, which I'm starting to feel like may be done, but we'll see. Last week I thought we were going to bring in a couple extra guys. Hasn't exactly happened. And one of them told me that he was supposed to come on for a visit and then nobody's called him back. So I don't know why, but we'll talk about that another time. I want to get confirmation on if he's coming or not first, then we'll talk about it. All right, y'all. See you tomorrow. I'm out.